What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So it looks like we have some big things to look forward to this week from PlayStation after a state of play was announced that appears to be focusing heavily on Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, as well as two other smaller games, and we'll go over that here today. Also, we're going to talk about the Bluetooth audio support that was quietly added to the Switch with update 12.0.0 because while it's not activated officially, it does appear that the Switch hacking community is actually taking matters in their own hands. And we're also going to be talking about a bunch of documents that leaked out from EA that continue to show a heavy focus on FIFA Ultimate Team and, yes, loot boxes. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with two games being added to Game Pass. We'll start with Gamatsu here, where they say Square Enix will release Dragon Quest Builders 2 for Xbox One on May 4th for $49.99. According to a newly published Microsoft Store listing, it will also be available via Xbox Game Pass for Xbox One and PC. Now, Dragon Quest Builders 2 has been out for a little while now on the PlayStation 4 and the Switch and on PC through Steam, and I enjoyed it on the Switch. I thought it was a lot of fun. Also did some multiplayer and had a good time with that as well. But looking at the big picture here, yeah, it's nice that this game is going into Game Pass for anyone who has not had a chance to check out the Dragon Quest Builders series, but it continues to show that relationship between Square and Microsoft with Game Pass right in the middle. And it does make you wonder if whenever Final Fantasy VII Remake does eventually go to the Xbox, which we assume will happen after this timed exclusivity deal is up with Sony, will it just go right into Game Pass? Because I'm kind of thinking it will, and it's going to be interesting. Is it integrated? Is it regular Final Fantasy VII? All of this. But hey, Square, I'm sure, is happy to be taking these checks from Microsoft, and Microsoft is working to keep Game Pass interesting as they're waiting for their first-party studios to start outputting some games. Also, the other game that's going into Game Pass is coming out May 21st for $19.99. It's flown under the radar basically since it was announced, and that's Knockout City. It's basically going to EA Play right away, which if you have Game Pass Ultimate, EA Play is part of that, so it's going into Game Pass as well. But this is kind of the dodgeball arena team-based style game that was shown off during that Nintendo Direct, and a lot of people just kind of looked at that and moved on, but they did a closed beta, which is a great idea for this game because, of course, it got a lot of their feedback from a lot of different people as to what they could improve on with the gameplay and just see what everyone thought of it. And apparently the impressions were good. Everyone I was seeing online who was talking about this, who participated in the beta, came away with good impressions overall. So it's going into Game Pass and EA Play, and my thought is I might as well download it to check it out. But I am curious, for anyone out there who did try this out in the beta, let me know if you liked it or not, and if you did, what was really good about it, because I gotta say, the people who tried the beta really seem to enjoy this game. I mean, it's a unique concept, so it's cool to see kind of these more unique style games, but I'll check it out myself May 21st when it drops on EA Play. Oh, and we might as well check out the games with gold that were announced for May. Here, let's just go over here to the slide, and they also released a video, I guess, trying to hype up these games. I don't know, we'll take a look from the top here. Armello, that's May 1st to the 31st. Dungeons 3, that's May 16th to June 15th. Lego Batman, that's May 1st to May 15th. And then Tropico 4, that's May 16th to the 31st. So not very good, obviously. Games with gold is certainly an afterthought for Microsoft. I think we all realize Microsoft is full speed ahead right now on Game Pass, and they're thinking way less about games with gold, which games with gold is comparable to PlayStation Plus, and it's not even close. Like, you put those two services together because they're attached to the, just the online fee, essentially, of playing online on these consoles, and PlayStation Plus just blows games with gold out of the water completely with what they're doing there. So I don't know what's going on with games with gold. I don't know if Microsoft's just getting to the point where they're trying to bore people to sign up for Game Pass instead of games with gold, but the service needs help. And I know these are free games, but looking at this, the best one is Lego Batman. That was in a bundle with the 360, like over a decade ago, and like they're giving it away here as like a games with gold thing. So yeah, games with gold need some help. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the state of play that's been announced for this week. We'll head over here to Twitter, where we see PlayStation saying, introducing Rivet, see the mysterious Lombax in action in today's Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart trailer. Then tune in to State of Play on Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific, for extended gameplay from Insomniac Games, plus updates on a pair of upcoming indie titles. And Hard to say which indie titles they're going to show here. Really, it's anyone's guess. I mean, maybe they could show Kenna Bridge of Spirits. That would be kind of cool. That game shows a ton of promise. I'm very interested to see what else they'll show us about that game as we get closer to its release date later on this year. But looking at Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, wow, does this game look good. They showed another almost 2-minute long trailer, and I mean, the game looks next gen. We've been wondering for a while, okay, when's that game gonna show up that just absolutely blows people away? No questions asked. This is a next generation title. This is probably it. I mean, we saw originally like an 8-minute long gameplay section, but they've come back now with this trailer and it just looks even better. Like, a lot of times people will say, okay, obviously they lowered some of the visual details on games as they get closer to the release date, but not this one. I don't know, maybe it's just the way that they've been showing off some of the cinematics at the right times, the right angles, or even some of the different gameplay elements with the changing dimensions, but it just looks better and better as they go along and show this game. When they first showed, as an example, back when we had the Game Awards, they showed Godfall. Everyone looked at that and said, I mean, I guess that's next gen. I don't see anyone saying that about Ratchet and Clank. Can we just look at this for a second and realize Insomniac has been doing an awesome job holding up like the first 7 months of the PlayStation 5 generation. I know we had Blue Point with Demon's Souls as a PlayStation 5 exclusive and all that, but like, look at what Insomniac's been doing. They had Spider-Man Remastered along with Miles Morales. They did a ton of post-release updates for that game, where they're adding in different performance options, getting ray tracing at 60 frames per second. Then we get to Ratchet and Clank. They add a patch to a game that was given away with the Play at Home initiative, making it 60 frames per second. And now, 7 months after the launch of the PlayStation 5 and them releasing Spider-Man Miles Morales, they're coming out with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, a game that just looks completely next gen. So I'm completely on board with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Very excited to check this one out. It's coming out June 11th, and I'm also very curious what they're going to show us here in State of Play, because I feel like at this point I've seen enough of the game. I just gotta wait another month and a half or so to get my hands on it, which that means that game comes out a couple of days before E3. So that's gonna be a fun weekend, getting Ratchet and Clank, going through it basically all weekend, and then come out the other side into E3, where there's just a ton of announcements all over the place. But who knows, maybe during this State of Play, they show us a bit more of Rivet, who, as they say here, is the other mysterious Lombax, or maybe they have an idea around co-op. That'd be kind of cool. There's a lot of things they could show us with the gameplay and changing dimensions and all these different things. But yes, very, very excited to see more of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and looking forward to the game coming out in about a month and a half. So good stuff there. Check out the State of Play this Thursday. Next up, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch and Bluetooth audio support. As we had mentioned before, data miners had found that Nintendo did updates to the Bluetooth in the Switch during that update 12.0.0 that appeared to add audio support, and that got people pretty excited because, hey, maybe we'll finally get to do what the Vita did back in 2011, just on the Switch now, and, you know, pair up our headphones and all of this through Bluetooth. Well, it looks like the Switch hacking community wasn't going to wait that much longer. We can see this tweet here. This from Pluto, who has actually done quite a bit of work on the Switch. That's putting it lightly when it comes to figuring out a lot of this stuff, hacking the Switch, all of this, opening up completely for Homebrew, saying NXB Tread Bluetooth audio on Switch. And they went a little further in their overall thread here, where they do link to it through GitHub. So I guess, hey, if you have a Homebrew running Switch, you can check a lot of this stuff out for yourself. But apparently they were getting some output, some noise through headphones when they're outputting, but they apparently have fixed that as well. Either way though, this is really cool. I'll be curious to see if maybe we get like a video from MVG or something around this, because the idea of Bluetooth headphones has been brought up since the Switch came out. It's still strange that it's not there officially, but leave it up to the hacking community. They were going to do it. They've done a lot of things like being able to back up your saves locally, something we're still waiting to be able to do. We're pretty much still just like tied to cloud save backup. And you know what I think about it? It does appear that people are noticing more and more that the Switch does need some updates when it comes to the feature set of the system. Every time I'm like looking around online, I always see these like mock-ups for themes and ways they can change up the overall home screen. And while I go on my systems to play games, like first and foremost, I mean, you see the home screen every time you turn it on, and I think all of us, at least right now, bare minimum, want folders. Like themes, that'd be cool, but it's like, at least folders has a serious functionality based on how many games hit that eShop every single day. It's like, yeah, if we could just organize it a bit better. And we've even had developers and people like Kamiya complain about that themselves. So it's not even just us doing it. But like you see, this, for example, was posted up on Reddit, got a ton of upvotes with a Switch home redesign. People seem to really like it. And while you can argue that it maybe is a little too busy, might be a little too intensive even for the Switch, because clearly they were trying to keep it very bare bones, so it was very, very quick. I get the sentiment here. People just wanting the Switch to do more in general than what it does now. And like I said, the biggest thing I would like to see would be folders for organizing all of these different games. But as of now, I mean, that might be a next-gen feature for all we know, because Nintendo really hasn't done much when it comes to updating things like folders or themes. And then we're even asking about Bluetooth audio support. But hey, I guess there's a revision coming up, and maybe that's when all of a sudden there's a big information blowout for all this cool stuff, and then all of a sudden, you can message your friends. Next up, let's talk about something pretty cool that happened over the weekend. That has to do with the UK sales charts, because it looks like Nier actually knocked FIFA off of the top spot. Let's head over here to the top 10, where you can see Nier Replicant version 1.22 was #1 in the UK. These are physical sales. None of this counts digital sales at all. It actually took FIFA down a notch, down to #2. I don't expect this to last into like next week or anything. This is really cool though, for a franchise that's viewed as niche as Nier, to see what Automata did for this franchise and have Replicant shoot right to the top. And that's big stuff right there. Because remember, Nier came out on Friday, so this would only be tracking 2 days for that. And FIFA, while, I mean, it's an older game technically now, right? FIFA 21. FIFA always sells in the UK. It's constantly up there at the top. So, hey, big stuff there for Nier. And then, like I said, FIFA 21 at 2, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury at 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons at 4, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 5, Minecraft on the Switch at 6, Grand Theft Auto 5, which is just always around, at 7, Football Manager 2021, and then we have Ring Fit Adventure and Cyberpunk 2077. As for the split, we have 89% of the sales for Nier Replicant was on the PlayStation 4 and 11% on the Xbox One. Not too surprising. I bought it on the PlayStation 4 and playing on my PlayStation 5, even though it runs at a higher resolution, I believe, on the Xbox Series X through backwards compatibility. I've just always had Nier like next to the PlayStation. I don't know, I just kind of relate it to the PlayStation brand. But either way, this is really cool to see for Nier in general as a franchise topping the sales charts here in the UK. I don't know if it's going to do anything near this in like in the NPD charts or anything, but if it can just place in the top 10 for the month, that would be really cool for the franchise overall. And hey, maybe this means they'll do like a complete edition and put it on the PS5 and the Series X, or maybe we can at least get just a next-gen patch, because it is still technically stuck at 1080p, I believe, on the PS5, and just take advantage of the extra feature set and more power for the PS5. But either way, really cool stuff there for Nier and Nier fans, because that just means the future's bright for the franchise. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about EA and a 54-page document that leaked out online. This coming from CBC, and I don't think anyone's really surprised to hear that EA is focusing on something like FIFA Ultimate Team and loot boxes, but either way, we actually saw some internal documents and slides that were being presented, I guess, in one of their meetings, and it's pretty clear-cut the idea that they have here going forward. And we'll head over here, this at VGC, where they say leaked Electronic Arts documents suggest the company is doing everything in its power to drive FIFA players to the game's Ultimate Team mode in order to buy loot boxes, claims the publisher denied in a statement issued to VGC on Monday. And we can see the slide in question here. 5 things you need to know. We have more active players at this point in FIFA than ever. 5.3 million FIFA. Wow, daily active. Wow, 5.3 million plus. That's incredible, actually. 3 million plus alone in FIFA Ultimate Team. The team is squarely focused on engaging current players through mid-September. Players will be actively messaged and incentivized, by the way, that is bolded there, incentivized to convert throughout the summer. And convert, obviously, I think everyone understands what that one means there. And then FIFA Ultimate Team is the cornerstone, and we are doing everything we can to drive players there. The return of football is only going to help us, and plans are ready to flex. Following up, the CBC Anonymous Insider says, I don't know why anyone would ever put that in print at the company. It's getting harder and harder to defend what is very obviously unregulated gambling. And they did get a response from EA, a spokesperson there, who says all EA games can be played without spending on in-game items, and the majority of players do not spend. Modes like Ultimate Team, which has been part of our FIFA games for more than a decade, are some of the most popular game experiences in the world. Grind currency is not a term we typically use. And then in a follow-up statement to VGC, EA said that CBC sensationalized the story and misrepresented the facts, which it then laid out in several bullet points, trying to kind of spin the slide that got out there that everyone saw, that very clearly with the bolded print and all of this saying to convert people to FIFA Ultimate and all this. None of this to me is new or surprising. EA knows where they make their money, and it is FIFA Ultimate Team. They make a lot of money specifically from a small percentage of people that play FIFA Ultimate Team. They say not a lot of people spend money technically, but enough people do, because you have people who will spend thousands and thousands of dollars, those they themselves would call the whales, and they come in and they hold up this, what's become a $1 billion revenue stream for them every year, because remember, it's a yearly sports title that costs $60, probably about to be $70. Your FIFA Ultimate Team stuff does not carry over, and then you got to start all over again. Sure, it might be fun for people who are maybe throwing like 10 or 15 bucks here, or yeah, maybe they're legitimately just grinding out FIFA Ultimate Team and all of this. They're having fun with it, but there is the question that continues to come up around unregulated gambling with these kind of things, because loot boxes, you look at it, yeah, it is dressed up gambling technically. It's randomized and it's a game of chance essentially. And while people are more forgiving in free-to-play games where, yes, it's cosmetics and stuff, FIFA Ultimate Team goes a bit further than that. And as we're seeing EA themselves in a boardroom with this slide, pointing out the idea of being maybe a bit aggressive, trying to push people towards really their biggest moneymaker right now. Like I said, about $1 billion. So obviously they're going to want to continue to build on that, and they'll do everything they can to keep that revenue stream. That's why you hear them going to all these hearings and meeting with all of these judges and courts and lawsuits. They don't want to give it up. So yeah, we'll see how this works out. But the biggest thing that EA continues to invest in right now is PR. They need to have good statements, I guess, to try to cover all this up, because when you see slides like these get out, it's certainly tough to kind of defend this kind of stuff with loot boxes. But I am curious how things will evolve around FIFA Ultimate Team as more and more stories like these pop up. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, are you buying new Pokemon Snap this week? And well, 83% of you said no. 17% said yes. And I'm not that surprised, because technically I asked before the reviews came out, and I think there is a question, and I completely understand, is this new Pokemon Snap game going to be worth $60? Because Pokemon Snap isn't necessarily a very deep game. Like, there's not like some crazy or wild story going on. There's not some massive twist in the middle or anything like that. And who knows, it very well could be a 5 or 6 hour game. Most likely there's gonna be a couple of courses that we go through many, many times, right? Different paths and all of this. And yes, it is on rails and you're just taking pictures of different Pokemon, but I understand that this is not a game that's going to be for everyone, and that's probably why it's so skewed to the no category. But I am looking forward to it as someone who really enjoyed Pokemon Snap back in the day on the Nintendo 64. I think it's really cool to finally be getting that sequel, so I have to get it. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Agan saying it was too early for PlayStation Home back in the day. Look at the VR chat now. They can do their events on PlayStation Home like State of Play, and heck, even Evo stuff since they own it now. That Video Pass would be cool with PlayStation Home too, to be honest. Yeah, if you had Video Pass, I guess you can invite people over to your little apartment you have set up. You guys can like watch a movie together through like the VR headset, and that could be kind of cool. I like the idea though of having them basically set up showroom floors around events, whether it's Evo, State of Play, which could have its own really cool looking setup, or even E3 if they ever go back there and they decide to virtualize it through PlayStation Home. I think the idea of PlayStation Home coming back would have been great last year when everyone was mostly at home, unable to visit each other, because we saw what happened with Animal Crossing, where people were using that as a way to essentially hang out. But if you had PlayStation Home around then, yeah, that would have taken off. I feel like that would have exploded in popularity then. it kind of missed the boat on that, really. But hey, the trademark's been renewed, and you never know, there's always a chance for PlayStation Home to come back, especially if they decide to maybe incorporate it with their next PlayStation VR headset. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether there's Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and the State of Play coming up this week. What do you think about the game so far, and what do you think they're gonna show us this week at that event? Also, what do you think about Nier Replicant topping the sales charts in the UK? And do you think all of this stuff around Bluetooth audio support for the Switch will actually happen, or does Nintendo have something else in mind? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.